Okay, so last time Miss Wallace and I went through the orientation and the planning. Now we're going to take you through the collecting and recording of data stage. If you go to your collecting and recording of data page in the left-hand navigation, you'll come to here, where on yours you'll have 4 source boxes for now, and you can add more as you go. We're just going to model 2 for you. As before, I'm going to work on the location we've decided, and Miss Wallace, you're going to...
I'm going to work on the tourism, have
Okay.
a look at some statistics.
So you'll see, I'll put in here, and here, just for your benefit to see. When this is being populated down here, it's Mrs. Wallace on her computer working on it, whilst I'm working here. Now, we noted earlier in the other video that you have some web links to start with. Obviously, we want you to use your textbook and move beyond this, but I'm going to start here. Let's have a look. Now, this map here in Earth Observatory gives you updated things of what's going on in the world at the moment, but we're doing New York, so I'm going to type in New York and see what I can find. And it's the image of the day. This is the first point of call. Alright, so this gives me, if I'm talking about location, this gives me, I'm going to snip this as my source. And here's the reference for where it comes from. I'm going to take that and put it over here in the bibliographic details. And then I'm going to put the image in here. Insert. It's going to be a picture. Choose from, it'll be the screenshot that I just took. There it is. And I put it in the wrong place, but that's okay. I'm going to put that over here. I'm going to place it here, because that's where it should go. Now I'm going to interpret this. If we look over here, it says financial district. Now, in my planning, I talked about the idea that I think this might be a place in Wall Street where, there we go, Wall Street has a financial capital. And Miss Wallace might actually add to that later if she sees something that I don't see, because as she said, 2 heads are better than 1. And you'll notice that she's already started to populate source down here. But this, just in dot points, this shows a purpose for financial section. And I'm going to ask a question because I'm guessing that Wall Street's there, but I don't know. Is Wall Street in this section? And I'll have to find that out somewhere in another source perhaps. I'm going to go back and do some reading on that same thing. No. It says here, grid pattern of major streets stands out. You can definitely see that, can't you?
So if you're looking for something in particular, you can always press Command F on a Mac or Control F on a PC and type in exactly what you're looking for. And I'll give you a shortcut. So if you typed in Wall Street, it's not actually in this document, so you'll have to go further to find it.
Yeah, so I'll have to find that in another document. But what I can take is the idea that these grid pattern in the image, grid pattern in the design of the streets and blocks shows great thought in New York's city design. What else can I find here? You can see Midtown is in the center of this island section. But look at this, this is the only green space in the whole area, even surrounding areas around. I'm going to note that. Only green space for New York. And this is Central Park. Again, I'm going to ask myself a question. Is this enough space, green space, for such a big population? Maybe I can find some info, I'll come back to that. Now, for time, I'll keep moving on. I'll look at what topics does this cover. If I go back to my planning, you can see that I'm covering location, but I'm also covering the characteristics of the city. Location. Characteristics in terms of financial industry. Can you see any other added extras that we might, other analysis that we might take from this?
Not from that one, not at a glance, I have to look into it.
Maybe if I went to Google Maps.
I don't actually think that's all of New York City.
Really?
I think it's missing some.
Let's try. Okay. I'm going to need to expand out. This is not Google Maps, is it?
No, that's not the one you want.
New York. Aha. If I do the Earth view, we go in a bit, we can see that this is the area that we were just looking at. Now that's only a small section of New York, isn't it? There's the Hudson River. That's the financial district. How did you turn this around?
Just click the arrow. Oh, yeah, those ones.
So that's what we were looking at before. Now look at all this urban area. It continues around.
And it goes into the island.
Over here.
No, this one.
Staten Island.
Yep.
Yeah. So it moves beyond that. And can you see any green space? Let's look for further green space. There's that Central Park area that we saw before. There's pockets of green space around.
There's a lot of buildings.
Yeah. But it's still grid patterned, isn't it, everywhere?
Mm.
Let me go back. Make these points. The other thing we can note here are the places where you have major intersections. So, for example, here, this section here seems to be feeding in from a lot of places right in Brooklyn. You can see a lot of places coming to this area here. Obviously, this is a major central hub. You've got a lot of things feeding into here. All this is coming in here. 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 So New York and New Jersey are feeding into Manhattan. Manhattan would be the biggest hub in all of New York. But you've also got, I would say, Brooklyn as another hub. When we look at the way the roads and the other infrastructure intersects. So Manhattan and Brooklyn are our two big hubs. Main roads or arterials, train lines all go there. That's important in terms of infrastructure. Let's have a look now at how we're going down here, Miss Wallace.
I'm doing pretty well. I've just had a look at, I've just Googled New York tourism statistics.
Yep.
I found a really, really comprehensive page offering lots and lots of statistics. So I've just copied a few over because I didn't need them all. So I just put the ones that I needed directly from the website you can see below.
So this is it
this
here?
one here. So if you can see, it's
Wow.
actually got a lot of information from a long time ago. So I've really only pulled up the latest and the most relevant information.
Okay.
And then in my interpretation, I've just really tried to put those statistics into my own words that I thought were the actual most important to know. So for our tourism, it's important to know how many visitors we had in that time. So New York City actually had 56.5 million visitors.
That's both domestic and
both
international?
Domestic and international. So 44.5 million of those were domestic and 12 million were international. And altogether, they spent $41 billion. So that's $41 billion going into the economy that New York City didn't have before. So when I'm looking at topics, I know that economy is definitely one of the ones that I've looked at. So I'm going to put that straight there. Just change the colour on me.
And tourism too, right?
Definitely tourism, because that's the one I'm looking at. So I've also added a question in that I thought was important for tourism, and I've said what were the main things tourists did whilst in New York City.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I thought I'd
Gives
like
us
to
more
know
detail,
that.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it might lead us also to the other topics of retail and other subtopics even.
So I was just having a little look as well, and it helped support 362,085 jobs in New York City, which I also thought that was really a really good point to make.
So without the tourist industry, 362,000 people would have to work somewhere else and do something else.
Yeah. So for the economy, when we're looking at an industry, tourism is definitely